Making the album, I guess that means in the studio, because writing it wasn't hard, that was fine. Everyone was pretty well prepared. We had a little practice kit for Joel in the garage, so he came and while I was doing the songs I was drumming on, he was practicing those, so when he came in and we were all playing as a 4-piece, it was all pretty locked in, so it wasn't too tricky once we got that going. But I would just say it was like logistically figuring out how we're tracking for insurance at the same time in Josh's studio, because his studio is not massive and he doesn't have like multiple live rooms.
Max and Derrick and I were set up in this little like semicircle, and we had Joel was in another room, like a separate like drum live room, little window, but we couldn't really like sit there and see him. So Josh set up this flat screen TV as like live feed, so we could be like playing along live with him, and it like visually we were getting that live feel. Like we could watch like Joel's like intensity and like kind of watch what he was gonna do. It felt like it wouldn't work, like there would be like some like lag or like something, like some latency something, but it was like it was flawless.
I mean, that took us honestly a couple days to get that configuration all set up so we can actually feel like we're in the same room playing, but we're not, because we had to have all the cabs in different rooms and then the drums in a different room. But it worked out.
I wasn't at the studio when they made like 90% of the album. I was super sick. I already talked about it in another video, you can check it out, but I got HIV and I was really, really sick and I wasn't getting better. I had pneumonia and we had just finished the Summer Slaughter tour, and September came around and I was like, guys, I'm still so sick, I can't come. So I flew in with like 2 weeks left or something. I was trying to practice all the vocals because I wanted to do the album in one take, so I kept practicing it every day, and I just kept coughing all the time, and it would like really hurt my voice and mess everything up. So the hardest part for me was making sure that I wouldn't cough until the end of Obsession, because then I had like a nice spot to like recover before the next song started.
A lot of the biggest challenge was where I lived at the time. I was in like a transitionary period, so I didn't really have a way to practice and kind of flesh out the songs.
Max DM'd me and he was just like, hey, would you be down to record some parts on the album? I thought I was just going to send samples and scratches. I literally thought it was all just going to be email. I messaged him back. I was like, yeah, just send me whatever and then I'll record stuff over it. And he's like, oh, well, we're actually recording in Michigan. And it was just like, oh, okay. And then he's like, would you be down to come out? I'm like, yeah, sure.
They'd essentially be rehearsed like normal, which was like normal. But then it would be like, all right, now you need to go perform them in a way, like in the live room, all together, as minimal mistakes as possible, hopefully none.
This was the first time that we've had an album that was totally done like months in advance. So I had like 3 or 4 months to just practice every day, and that's the only reason I could do it in one take, was because I was just so well practiced at that point.
I know Derrick was tweaking a little bit because his brain is so like wired to like the modern production of like a click and like all this stuff and punching in. So I think he was tweaking a bit.
You know, nothing was on a click, so I guess getting used to not having that steady, I guess, tempo while recording, and kind of just rely on like the liveliness.
I don't think that was an issue. I feel like Joel was so on top of things, like he knew what was up, like Max knew what was up. So like our rhythm section could not have been more solid. So I didn't feel like we missed the click, like, at all.
No, long story short, no. It was not hard whatsoever.
As a band, we've been playing organically, just together, locking in with each other without a click. Yeah, it was just kind of business as usual. You know, we lock in as we always do, and we feel each other, and, you know, kind of we just find that groove and we just stay there.
You know, it turned out to be a lot better than I was expecting.
Generally, when we're all jamming together on the actual song, it's not really that hard. Yeah, I mean, at least for me, when I'm drumming, it feels more natural because that's how we do it live. Because everyone else is playing essentially to the drums, and the drums become the new click. When the album was being written, I was still just the drummer. Like, I wasn't playing bass yet. Plan was for me to just drum because I was still the drummer. Once I switched to bass, it was like after maybe like 6 or 7 songs were written, I was ready to just give Joel the whole thing. I know the guys in the band still wanted me to drum on the album to some extent.
Max kind of already had the songs laid out. He knew which ones that he wanted to do, which left the other ones for me.
Yeah, I just picked the songs that, one, were written when I was planning on playing drums. Like, What We Know is the first song that was written for the album. So I was just like really into those drums. I practiced them a bunch. I was like, I should just track them. Swapping from drums to bass didn't really change the songwriting process at all. The only difference is just like the bass is more prominent now. I'm writing the riffs and the songs and all the structures the same way I always would since the EP back in the day. The only difference now is just like, oh, I'm going to be playing the bass thing, so I want to do something cool with it, so then I just make the bass do cool shit. Like, I think a lot of people think because I'm playing bass now, like everything's different and all the songs are going to sound different, and I'm like, if anything sounds different to you, that was like not because of a lineup change, that was just because of what we wanted to write. Like, if I was still just playing drums and we had a different bass player, the songs probably would have came out the same. You just wouldn't be hearing like crazy slap stuff or percussive stuff on bass. That's just because it's me playing it.
Some of the guitar stuff is like, I feel like Generation of Danger was a little bit more, I wouldn't say technical, I would say technical, yeah, at times, but more fast-paced. This is a little bit more, like some of the riffs are more catchy, like, I guess, like, not as crackhead, not as, like, insanely fast.
I don't have an intention of writing something like that again. I mean, it was cool at the time because that was the goal with T-God, was to just write the most like chaotic album we could. So we did a good job, but I don't want to do that again. That's not fun. I listen back to the album, I'm like, God damn, dude, give us a break. The only break is the end of the fucking album when it's like the last song. Cool that we did that, we wanted to do it, but I don't think anyone in the band wants to do that again.
T-God, like, is so hard for me to do vocally. I like, especially like Telescope, I'm so sick of that song, no offense. But like, we reached the point where I was like, when we were writing for this album, I was like, I kind of want to just write stuff that's still like really catchy and shows off my vocal abilities, but that's like easier to do live, and that was kind of my mindset going into it.
I would say natural change, but I think it was also like a, how do you say it, like it's more experimental, kind of just to step outside the box a little bit, then kind of like putting a label on something, kind of just being free with whatever we wanted to try to do.
It was intentional to kind of like open things up to different audiences, experimental kind of sounds. I think it wasn't also just like, we're gonna go in and this is gonna be chill. This is gonna be a chill album, because obviously like it's not. It's got the Tallah crazy heaviness, but kind of in like a different flavor.
You're just laying into more dynamics on this album. I don't think it makes it less heavy. I would argue that Primeval Detachment's like our heaviest song. So even though like there are songs that are more chill or less heavy, there's still a lot of the heavy shit too. And personally, I think some of our best heavy stuff is on this album.
I do think it was kind of like this natural shift into this newer sound, but also I think it was like none of us ever wanted to do anything like T-God again. So I think we were like, yeah, let's do something different, still have it be heavy. Like, I think the breakdown in Undone by Fate is like one of the coolest breakdowns we've ever done. But at the same time, like, we're like, let's just be like more weird with it.
It was natural. It wasn't like I sat down and was just like, I need to write melodic things or chill shit. It was just like, I don't want to write heavy shit, so that's just kind of where it went. It wasn't that I don't want to write heavy shit. I don't want to write that fucking chaotic, just hour-long, just onslaught of shit. T-God's cool. I'm not hating on it. But
Guitar sections have absolutely changed between T-God and this new album. They're more like, I think like collaborative would be the word. Because there's always kind of been like two guitar parts, but it's riff heavy. There's like the dominant riff. Derrick and I still have different stuff going on, but like the new album it's so exaggerated. There's a few songs, I don't know if I could say all of them, not to like blow smoke up my ass. There's a few songs where it's like if you were missing one of the guitar parts, I feel like the song would be very different, totally lacking, noticeable. Really noticeable if I wasn't there.
Bands do just naturally change their sound. Like it's a weird like can't win like catch-22 thing where it's like if you don't change your sound, people will be like, oh, every album sounds the same. But if you do change your sound, people are like, oh, they're not playing the same thing that they played before, which is like really frustrating. But I think we just kind of reached this point where we had already done this like really nucore album, and then we already did this really mathcore album, and then we just kind of wanted to take all the stuff we liked from those two albums and experiment and do some more stuff and like really like melodic stuff. I remember when I first was like starting to write the lyrics, Max was like, hey dude, I want you to sing more on this album because you have like this tool and I feel like we're not using it. And I was so pumped about it because screaming is cool and all, but I was like, yeah, I have this really unique voice, so I'm glad he's on board with that. And it just worked out in such a cool way.
There are weird things that happened with the last two albums that makes this album the first one that was actually like sit down, write it start to finish, record it. Because we wrote T-God, most of T-God, way back in like 2019, ready to record that. Plans changed, so that got put on the shelf. We went into Maturivity, which wasn't a start to finish album writing, that was filling in the blanks of an EP we already did. So that was its own thing, pretty much added 5-6 new songs. And then we went back to T-God and tweaked every single song. Every single song got a little bit of something. Some got big rewrites, some got small things. But every single song was just like, they've been sitting here for a couple years. All right, let's update them. So that was different. The only thing really different about this album is that we didn't have any other bullshit to deal with. We just wrote it and then went straight into recording it. This was the first time we actually got to see the process from like starting to write it to finishing recording it kind of all in one piece. Ooh, look at that fucking house centipede just cruising along down there.
Originally it was supposed to be 2 separate EPs, and then I think the label wanted it to be an album. My approach was like a little different. I didn't really think about like a story at first. I just wrote like whatever came to mind. It was really weird because a lot of the stuff I wrote, specifically like my Primeval Obsession and parts in like Augmented and What We Know, like specific stuff like in What We Know when it says like it's already decided, it's already transpired, you're just catching up. After I found out that I got HIV, I was like, this sounds like I like almost knew that it was gonna happen because it hadn't happened yet. So it was like I like reached into the ether and like pulled out. So that was weird. But then it was like after I wrote like the stream of consciousness lyrics, I went in, thought of the concept, was like, Max, do you think this is cool? And he was like, yeah, that's pretty sick. And then we kind of did like the twin thing with it. And then I added like all the story parts after and just like changed some parts in and out to make it flow. I'd say the story is mostly linear. Like it starts with What We Know and it ends with my Primeval Obsession, and a story like linear from start to finish. Sheila's story starts with Detachment and ends with What We Want, but then it's like Lacuna is kind of like the end of the story, and it's just thrown in the middle to kind of split it up in a really cool way.
There's jams that we did that will probably never see the light of day.
Josh had everybody like do like these jam sessions to just get in the vibe of doing this like big live album kind of thing. And so it was like Joel on drums, Max on bass, Derrick and Alex on guitars, but then Derrick was on vocals.
We started jamming, what is that, 96 Quite Better Beings? Right? Is it CKY? Max is like figuring it out on bass, and we would just keep doing that and then just get to the ba, ba, ba. Eventually we're just jamming and we're doing some cool stuff, and then for some reason we find ourselves doing this like Black Betty type beat. Like, whoa, Black Betty, bam, bam. And so we just put those two together and it's just this ridiculous jam track of nonsense over Derrick just repeatedly saying bucketing horse.
I wasn't there for this. I don't think they will ever get released, but there's just these really weird, wonky sounding jam sessions with Derrick just doing the weirdest things. And I think those are just for us, but that was definitely some wacky recording antics for sure.
The talk box solo. God, I might have to give some credit to Josh on that, because I know we were looking for like a funky sound. We're like, phaser's not it, like wah's not it. We needed like something more. And God, I can't remember exactly where the talkbox idea came from, but I feel like it was one of those things where we were like spitballing with Josh, and it's like, I got this pedal, well, Derrick has this, Max has that, and then he's like just sitting there kind of thinking in his little Josh way and goes, you guys ever like thought about a talkbox or something like that? We're all just like, fuck yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly if like that's how it happened, but I don't know, the inspiration behind that was just like, we need a funky ass sound.
So the bell, as far as I know, the bell's origin lies in the downstairs basement practice area of the Portnoy house. I just saw they have this like shelves built into the wall. And, you know, they got drum heads, they got cymbals in there. We went to the house to try and to pick up some gear for like the video or something, and Max thought that like this weird sled thing that he has, that he got from like the Sabian factory, it's literally like a sheet of cymbal that's like curled over like a sled. We were looking for that, and I was like, well, we can't find that for like, you know, the What We Know stuff. There was just this kind of bell that had been sitting there, and I kind of looked over at it like a bunch of times throughout meeting there for practices and stuff like that. Mike acquired it somewhere, and it just stayed there. Maybe he played on it back in the day, I don't know. So I saw that thing, and I'm like, what about that? And Max is like, yeah, dude, take it, I don't care. And then I was like, I really like this thing. I want to kind of keep this thing around. I'm not sure of its origins. It's mysterious. It makes a sound like no other. As far as I know, the bell has just lived in that basement for God knows how long, and now it's on my drum kit.
The last song on the album pretty much improvised in a parking garage. We did 2 takes. First one was okay. Second one is what's on the album. So that was a lot of fun and different. We kind of went into it planning to improvise something. I remember talking with Justin, just being like, we should do an outro. Don't really have plans. Let's just like wing it in the studio.
Max really wanted to do it as the outro, and nobody was feeling it at first. Like, he's just like, all right, like, nobody's into this idea, and we're like, we just don't really know what to do. And so we went there with like a bunch of different acoustic instruments, and then I just started going like, and like weird like, and then Max is like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, no, that whole outro thing was we just kind of, we went into a parking garage somewhere, and just, we brought an acoustic guitar and a cajon, and Josh, a producer, brought a Zoom recorder, like an audio recorder, and there's a lot of reverb in there, and we just kind of improvised the whole, like some whole thing we just put on the spot. Like, it's on there, it's in the end. I mean, it's a little surprise in there, but I've never done anything like that in my life, so that was kind of cool.
So we got there and just did like a random take, and it came out pretty cool, but we were all like, I think we can do better. So then we did another take, and that's like the take, and it came out so sick. Alex does vocals in the background, is like doing these crazy like cackling like
That felt like so off the wall. I've never seen anyone do anything like that, so maybe that was the crazy part.
While we were recording that, these 2 dudes just showed up and were just watching us do it while Max is trying to like record these like snare bombs with the reverb of this car garage, and they just keep talking over it. We're just like, guys.
A lot of weird experimenting stuff. You know, besides the album just feeling live, we just did a lot of weird shit. We did a live string, it's not a full quartet, it was 2 string players, violin and cello, but we did all of that live. Me and Josh were planning out the string parts and stuff ahead of time, and then they came in once we tracked the full band, and they recorded it all live together to the band, which was really cool.
I love Joel's journey from fan to full-blown member. It's awesome. I remember so vividly like that phone call or like FaceTime or whatever we were doing to ask Joel if he wanted to like play with the band, and he was like, obviously knew it was, you know, he's like, Tallah asked to call me, like the whole band asked to call me. So he was like posted up with a friend, probably like nervous as fucking shit to see like what we had to say, and you could just like feel his reaction through the phone, just being like like silently just like slapping his friend or something. Like you could feel how excited he was, and like I feel that way from Joel even today.
Obviously I'm not Joel, so I can't really imagine how he feels, but it's like if one of your favorite bands hits you up and is like, hey, do you want to tour with us? I feel like that alone was probably like just made his whole year. But then we kept asking him like over the years, and then eventually we reached that point where Max was like, why don't we just get Joel to be on drums and I'll hop on bass, because we just kept going through so many like different like people on bass, and it just felt right. And so all of a sudden we're like doing the album and we're like, do you want to just get like Joel to like hop on and like do half the songs?
To start out as like a fan and going and then touring with the band and then being in the band and playing on the record, it's been a dream come true. I first got sent the band from a family member. I got sent No One Should Read This, and I was like, yo, this is insane. Like, this is like some of the craziest stuff I've heard. And I just I got really into the band, and I posted a couple covers, and the band took notice, so that was cool. And then I was like, well, I really like them, I'll become a Patreon member, not thinking anything of it. And then to be asked to jump on a tour was like insane. Who'd have thought, just from doing some drum covers.
I remember when he first started playing with us, and like just like during the practice session, Derrick and I were like, dude, if you close your eyes, it's pretty much Max. Like the way they have the same influences basically, and they hit the same way, and they're just into the same music and have the same vibe, and it just like works perfectly. But hopefully Joel doesn't also want to play bass.
I've been drumming since I was like 10 years old. My roots are Joey Jordison, Chris Adler, Matt McDonough, counterparts. You know, Kyle plays in that band, and he does this thing where he just throws blast beats in places just out of nowhere for no reason, and it's really quick. It's not like here's a nice long blast beat section. It's like no, like super quick. It's become like a regular part of my playing.
We couldn't have built like a better replacement for Max, this new member, this new personality. He's just so genuinely stoked to be around. Joel's got all the cards. We love him.
Being asked to join, it was more than I could have ever hoped for. To be able to, because these people are already my family, and to be able to completely lock that in permanently, and to be trusted with that position of being one of the main driving forces in the group is just it's an honor.
I joined Tallah officially by participating on the album. Recording on the album. Truthfully, my parts were very minimal for the album. I mean, truthfully, the album was pretty much done. I just, added some sprinkles on top.
He hit us up when we split with our original DJ, but I had already talked to a friend of mine, Thomas, about helping us out on a tour we had.
He was kind of just doing it for fun. After a while, we're like, yeah, we need someone to actually be the guy. And Max was like, hey, I know this guy.
When all of a sudden we like needed another DJ, Max was like, well, there was this guy in LA. He was kind of interested. I don't know how he came across him or what the heck. Max kind of just like pulled that out of the hat. He's like, I kind of sort of know this guy that is a DJ. And we're like, well, he looks super fucking cool. He seems motivated to do something like this.
Full circle moment when Max DM'd me randomly.
He's like, I'm still interested, I'm free. We're like, no fucking way.
We flew him out, and he just improvised everything, and I was like, literally just like spitballing stuff, and I was like, that sounds so sick. There were songs like Obsession where Max wanted like some like ambient turntable stuff, and I was just like, man, that's gonna like ruin the song. And then I heard what Navi did, and I was just like, that's pretty awesome. I should know by now to just trust Max's judgment. Like, he heard something, and then Navi made it happen, and it was just like, boom.
Max sent me a folder with the songs and demos, and I like kind of came up with some of them. But then there were a few songs where obviously I improvised in the moment. I try to make each part different from each other. I didn't want them to all just be the same fucking scratch throughout the album.
That worked pretty nicely. I feel great about it. Like, he's been an awesome addition. Just got this like mega cool guy, like this like swagger, just like doing his thing back there at the table. So I think he's been a really good fit so far.
Originally it was just kind of like come out and do the album, so we flew out literally last day of the session. We haven't toured yet, you know, we're starting to do our first tours now, so he's been flying in and out pretty much to do all the random stuff we need. So yeah, he's been great at jumping in whenever we're doing bullshit.
All of a sudden he's in the music videos, and all of a sudden he's in the pictures, and I'm just like, it's kind of like when you're like, when you have like these two friends, and then like they never dated, but all of a sudden they're just together. Like it just kind of happened all of a sudden.
Yeah, there was no official like talk about it. It was just kind of like I recorded over the album, and then I got hit up to do the music videos, and then I asked Max, I'm like, does this mean I'm in the band? And he was just like, what do you mean? Yeah, dude. I was like, oh, okay, bet. Fuck yeah. Super sick story, experience, everything.
Favorite song on the album, it depends on the vibe that I am in that day. The mood I'm in will depict what song is my favorite, but what we know, being it was the first song written for the album, had a lot to do with steering the album in whatever direction we went with. There's so much experimentation with the acoustic guitars and the strings and the trap metal 808s and talk box solos and all that weird stuff that we crammed. And the song's short too. It's great. You do all that stuff, you think it's gonna be like a 6-minute song, but it's shorter than you would expect, and I like that. And it's got a great intro. We made an intro. It sounds awesome. That's probably my favorite one.
I would say Depleted is probably my favorite, but it comes close to Obsession. Yeah, between Obsession, What We Know, and Depleted. Between those three, I can't really choose, man. Those are all like my favorites right there. So
There's certain parts from certain songs that I really, really like. Like, the majority of Obsession is one of my favorites, but then that weird Scottish part in Undone by Fate that goes into that like dun 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 dun, just like beat down caveman breakdown is like one of my favorite parts of the entire album. What We Know as a whole is just great. I think Depleted might be my favorite right now, but really, I don't think there's a song on the album I don't like, but if I had to absolutely pick, I think I would go with Depleted.
My favorite song off the album is probably What We Want, which is the closing track. I mean, if you don't count the outro. There's a lot of interesting changes and things that happen in that song. For drums, for me, it's one of my favorites to play.
Favorite song, My Primeval Detachment. I think the whole, everything, like from the song to the music video, it's just been sick. And I don't even really have parts in that song, but I love that song.
Detachment might be up there. Augmented is also up there. What We Want is also up there. Dude. Might have to give that to Detachment. Maybe that's partly because of the music video, maybe. But final answer, I think that's it.
Thank you for being so passionate about the music, about us as people. I've been in like a few bands, and this is the only one where I felt just the love for the music so intensely every single show we play. You guys make touring fun, you make putting out music fun, and just thanks for sticking by us, and thanks for loving what we do.
well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm super excited and pumped to have this finally released, and we put a lot of time, passion, and emotion and energy into this album, and yeah, I'm excited. So hope the fans are too.
If you come out to a show, maybe wash your hands so I don't get sick, because my immune system is so fucked up now, and that's not your fault. That's it's not even really my fault. It's my ex's fault for being a dumbass. But don't come to the show if you're sick, or if you've been sick, or if you've been around someone who's been sick, because otherwise I can't come out and take photos and sign stuff at merch. I have HIV and I have an autoimmune disease. Like, wear a mask or something. Just please don't get me sick. That's all.
I'm stoked to finally do some shows, and I'm stoked for what's to come. Oh wait, sorry. Backtrack. What was the question?
It would be really cool if you guys watched the As Fate Undoes video, because it feels like nobody knows that came out, and we made some pretty cool puppets there in that video. Yeah, go watch that. and to give it some love, because I don't know if anyone saw it. It's a mystery.
It was so fun. Why is it getting no views? What the fuck is happening?
Alright, well, see ya.